So our next company is Honey Badger Silver, silver-focused exploration company with multiple projects in northern Canada, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. They have 80 million shares outstanding on a fully diluted basis and a market cap of around 9 million. They trade on the TSX Venture under symbol TUK and on the OTCQB under HBEIF. I'd like to welcome Dorian Dusty Cole, non-executive chairman, to tell us more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'll start with this quote from our chairman, Chad Williams, who believes that the price of silver will hit $100 an ounce. If you think that that's within the bounds of reason, then I think the story I'm going to tell you might be interesting for you. We're trying to build a somewhat different company. We're not an exploration company. People who know me well are always shocked to hear me say this because I'm unabashedly an exploration geologist. I've spent 49 years working in 86 countries, mostly on gold, silver, and copper. I consider myself very much an exploration geologist, but Chad invited me to join him on this venture, and I found it sufficiently compelling to want to join him. Although we do exploration, we do it only on the absolutely steepest parts of the value addition curve, where modest exploration investments with minimal risk we think can give us a good return. What we're trying to do is build an agglomeration of silver assets which will increase in value with the price of silver. What is Honey Badger? We offer tangible ownership in silver ounces in the ground. We've also created, and we announced this a week ago, a royalty subsidiary which will hold silver royalties. We think that we will be somewhat unique in that we will be vertically integrated and will offer investors the opportunity both to own percentages of silver in the ground and of silver royalties. Value appreciation, we have really three mechanisms or catalysts for value appreciation. One is the price of silver. We're the boat, and the price of silver is the tide coming into the harbor. Two, as we accumulate more properties, we begin to develop a critical mass. And third, and I think most significant right now, I think the market is beginning to understand our story. We've seen a significant increase in our share price recently. And I think people are beginning to understand our story and like it. Obviously, we're aligned with future silver demand and offer exposure to silver. Giving a short talk, I won't bother with this slide. I'll talk a bit about our company and then get into the projects we have. We have 62 million shares outstanding right now. We're announcing a financing today. The news release will come out within hours in the North American market. We'll be raising another 1.5 million Canadian. Our chairman, Chad Williams, owns something like 23 or 24% of the company. He's my lead order on the next financing. He'll be taking down 25% of it and maintaining his ownership. Eric Sprott still owns a few percent of the company. Some of our warrants are in the money. This is a CEO. This is a feeling I haven't experienced in a few years. It was very pleasant 3 or 4 weeks ago when warrants started getting exercised. We've raised about, it's a modest amount, but it feels good, about $60,000 with warrants being exercised. The team, we're very much a company of 2 people. The rest is part-time support. Chad, our chairman, some of you may know his name. He's the founder of Red Cloud Mining Investments in Toronto. Before that, he started in life as a McGill-trained mining engineer, was CEO of Victoria Gold and built that into the company it became, was a leading mining analyst in Canada, and then founded Red Cloud. I'm an MIT-trained geologist. As I said, I've worked about 49 years around the world. I have built and operated mines. I've managed companies, but my view of the world is very much of that of an exploration geologist. I'm always in here for discovery and value creation. We have a very strong board and group of advisors. Brian Briggs, an American mining engineer. George Topping and Michael Jalonen are mining analysts in Canada. John Hill was a mining analyst in the United States. Stephen Kibsey, another McGill graduate, literally wrote the book on ESG. He consults for most of the major Canadian banks and companies right now. He's with us as an advisor. And David Christie just joined us as an M&A advisor. I'm going to talk now about our projects briefly. What I want to emphasize, though, I'd like you to hear this more as examples of what we do and as predictions of what we will be doing more of, more than focusing on the merits of the individual projects themselves. We have two types of projects that we acquire. One is silver ounces in the ground, resources. We don't care terribly much if they're 4311 compliant or JORC compliant at the moment. We care more that they have geologic validity and have a value of appreciating in value with the higher silver price. Our other criterion is that they be cheap. We are trying to build this company without diluting our shareholders any more than absolutely necessary. I'm asked sometimes the very good question. People look at our financials and say, well, most of your money is going to G&A. You're not putting that much money into the ground. Yes, that's correct. We're not an exploration company. We only put money in the ground when there's a very, very good reason to. Our money goes into my time and consultants evaluating projects and acquisition opportunities, which is our business. Sunrise, we acquired about a year ago. It was one of the first things we did when I became CEO. I'm hoping there are no 43-101 police in the audience, so I'll take the liberty of adding indicated to inferred resources and doing a silver equivalent. This is about 65 million ounces of silver equivalent in the Northwest Territories. We bought it for $1. Everyone on my board thought I was either trying to be funny again or had made a typo. We bought it for $1. There was a company that for whom it had become non-core. They didn't want to have to deal with it anymore. We bought it for $1 and a royalty which we can buy back from them. Our plan on it is probably to do just a little bit of work, validate that the upside potential is there, but we will sit on it until at the right time we'll spin it off to someone else, but keep a royalty on it. Clear Lake was acquired before I joined the company. It was part of a package of 4 or 5 Yukon properties that Chad acquired before I joined. He acquired it partially for the 5.5 million ounces of silver, but principally for the over 1 billion pounds of zinc on the property. You may remember the beginning of this presentation was a photo of a very beautiful scenic shot of the Yukon. The resource footprint of Clear Lake is more or less in the middle of that photograph. There is great geologic potential to expand the resource. It's open in all directions and down dip, but we probably won't do very much work on it ourselves. Again, we'll sit on it until the right time, we'll spin it off, but keep a royalty. Java, we just acquired about 4 to 6 weeks ago, we announced it. It's 4.5 million ounces of silver in the ground in Nunavut, just over the boundary from Northwest Territory. Significantly, though, it's only 45 kilometers from and along the same volcanic contact as Glencore's Hackett River project, which is one of the, if not the largest, undeveloped silver resources in the world. It's something like 650 million ounces of silver, 43 or 45 kilometers away from us. We have so many geochemical and geophysical anomalies around the Java lease we purchased that we immediately staked additional claims. We more or less doubled our land position to pick up the exploration targets. That one I will do some work on personally. I will spend some time on the ground this coming summer to validate the exploration targets. And then eventually we have probably an obvious buyer for the project, 45 kilometers away from us, but we'll keep a royalty. Plata falls in a somewhat different category. Plata, of course, in Spanish means silver. Chad acquired it for the ridiculously high-grade silver veins on the surface. I say ridiculously high grade In the 1970s, 1980s, a private group took in some bulldozers on the Winter Cat Trail, mined the deposit on surface, flew the ore in sacks on a fixed-wing aircraft to Idaho, United States, and made money that way, direct flying the ore. I've looked at it. I also had the privilege last summer while I was doing field work at Plata. I was invited by Snowline Gold to visit their Rogue discovery. I was able to visit that and look at their drill core. I now believe that Plata is an analog to Snowline Gold's system. I think what we're looking at Plata is a distal offshoot of a Rogue type system. We probably have maximized the work we'll do on that, and the next step will be to bring in a joint venture partner or a purchaser while we keep a royalty. In the interest of time, I'll gloss over Groundhog and High. Nanisivik is a little bit different type of project for us. It was a producing mine, produced over 20 million ounces of silver in the last 25 years of the 20th century from a massive sulfide body that's over 100 million tons. It was staked shortly before I joined the company on the conjecture that there would be some remaining silver targets in that huge, massive sulfide body. I've been on the ground there and done some work and validated that there are high-grade silver targets. Last summer, we had, in one of those things that one hopes for but one can never predict, we had an incredible stroke of luck. And through a friend of a friend, and a transaction whose price was 1 pint of Guinness at the bar on a golf course outside Toronto, we acquired the database from the years of operation of that mine. We have all of the drill hole data and all of the geophysics data from when that mine was in production. It would cost something like $45 million to reacquire those data today. We had an interesting problem with it. The data was so old, we couldn't find a computer that was capable of manipulating it. We finally found this old DOS-operated computer in the basement of our consultant's office, and we were able to get into the data. We're still plowing through it, but we've identified 18 areas of high-grade silver mineralization that were never followed up. So that one, we will do some work ourselves to validate them and then probably spin it off. Nanisivik has another potential avenue that appeals to me, perhaps because I began my career in Spain in the Iberian Pyrite Belt in the original Rio Tinto district. But 100 million tons of massive pyrite, 3 kilometers from a deepwater port, for a world that is facing an imminent shortage of sulfuric acid. We're evaluating the possibility that there may be a market in the European chemical industry for all of that pyrite. We're just doing a dust study of that now, which I hope will lead to a PEA. Our projects are all in northern Canada. This is by coincidence and opportunistic events. It wasn't by design. We're looking to expand into Western United States and select countries in Latin America. I'll end this by saying, when Chad first invited me to join the company, I said, yeah, I'll think about it, but you have to change the name. It's a ridiculous name for a metals company. And he said, no, look up what the honey badger is. Learn something about it before you laugh at me. And as I learned about the honey badger and what a ferocious and fearless animal it is, I finally decided it probably wasn't too bad a metaphor for a struggling junior company in this market. So with that, thank you very much. If there's time for questions, I'll be happy to take them, or I'll be very happy to speak with any of you after this talk, if you would like to. Thank you.
So we've got about 1.5 minutes. Any questions? Oh, one here.
What are your criteria to find the right company to invest?
For us to invest in?
What are your criteria to find the right company for your investment?
For us to invest money in? We don't invest in company, we invest in projects. And there are 3 criteria. Silver ounces in the ground, or the distinct geologic possibility to discover silver ounces in the ground at low cost, and low cost for the acquisition. We don't enter into bidding wars, and we don't get into expensive acquisitions. Everything we're buying is cheap right now. When the market turns, we'll switch from buying assets to divesting of assets, but keeping the royalty. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.